3, 2, 1. This is that time, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we come to you live from Bella Vista Hotel with another episode of Friday Night Live. I've got Sean. I've got Mark. We got producer Ryan. Not changing up the angles, not for very long. We have some great things in play. But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. Sean, Mark, good to have you both back again this week. And on this week's episode, I reckon we're getting very, very close to the end of the financial year. And I know we are running 110 miles an hour within the legal limit on the M5 at certain points. So, speaking of which, Sean, how has your week been?
The week's been really good, actually. It has had a good mix of chaotic in there.
Very good.
But overall, it's been quite fun. People are overcoming their challenges, which is always good to see. And we're looking forward to the end of financial year, for sure.
Speaking of challenges, if you don't have challenges through your investment process and you don't overcome them, you're not building a portfolio. So for those people who are going through challenges and are overcoming them, well done. Welcome to the world of investing. There's always going to be something, right? Mark, what about yourself? How's your week been?
My week has just been made watching you act as a sound engineer. I think it's the best thing ever. You're getting good at it.
I agree. Let's get that applause in there for Kesh.
I reckon. And
very, very good. I love the intro of the song. You get it going good.
We do. We're learning this, you know, and today's topic is actually about that sort of stuff. Before we started podcasting together as a little JR family, if you will, I had no idea about how to use any of this equipment, nor did producer Ryan, nor did any of us. But
I think some of us still don't know how to use anything.
But things are changing and times are changing, and that's what today's topic's about. We are living in a world. Well, I don't know. It's my headphones. Are you guys experiencing? I feel like I'm watching a soccer game. There's like this little
There's vuvuzelas in the background, right?
So there's like sound in my head. I hope
everyone remember those from the 2010 World Cup.
Yeah, they were the best.
I don't I don't know where it's, yeah, that's what it sounds like. But coming back to today's topic, because we rabbit on for a little while, but today's topic is change and learning new things and the new world order. There's a lot of conversation around election. There is global recession. Cryptocurrency has taken a big, massive dump.
Shift,
if you will. The stock market, there's uncertainty. Inflation rates are higher than anyone expected. Big whoop. Like we knew that. Thank you for waking up, RBA. So there's a lot of confusion. There's New World Order. There's, in the same sentence, we hear people saying, oh, I'm struggling to find property. In the same sentence, we say, interest rates are going up. What's going to happen to property? So there's a lot of confusion out there. There's conversations around, you know, new careers, new jobs, all of these sort of things. And one thing we know, Sean, and you say this really well, that change is certain. Mm-hmm. So today, we just want to have a little bit of a yarn around where the world is really going. Not just real estate in general, technology, information, how we consume things, cars, like car supply you and I were talking about before. And you know, a lot of things have been turned upside down. And now, I wouldn't say we're on the tail end of COVID. The media is on the tail end of COVID. COVID still exists, but we are trying to find a new normal. So, ladies and gentlemen, on this episode, what we would like to do is speak to Mark, speak to Sean, you know, producer Ryan, you feel free to jump in if you want, and talk about change. Talk about, and, you know, pivoting, and talk about how pivoting is normal. Because often we as people have a plan in mind and we want to do A, B, C, D. And then the world puts a spanner in the works, which is normal. So I really, really want to talk about that today. So Sean, going to you, let's just go macro and then narrow it down. In your experience of, you know, buying investment properties, running a business, growing a business, personal life, so on and so forth, how have you adapted to change? And what policy do you have around change and pivoting? Because I know you're someone who loves to plan and you're someone who executes on, it's not just some bullshit list that you never execute. So I want to understand, because I know for a fact anyone who executes plans never go to plan in a weird way. So what has your attitude been towards change and pivoting throughout?
Sure. Well, when I was really young, I was very resistant to change. I don't know if it's a very normal thing for everyone, but personally, I've been very resistant to change. So things are meant to be a certain way. For example, if I like getting my coffee in the morning from a certain place, if I have a day where I don't get the coffee from that place, I don't enjoy that day. So I'm quite strict on a few disciplines that I can control. But as you grow in life and as you realize that there's a business to be run, there's certain targets that have to be met, there's certain things that have to be planned for the future, you're almost forced to be okay with change. And that starts with saying, okay, here's our goal in a best case scenario. And looking at macro factors, things that affect business planning should be things like interest rates. They should be things like population data. It should be about pricing, so forth, so on. So many factors, right? Now, whatever plan you set up, what I've learned is have a long-term outlook on what you want to achieve, like a 5-year or a 3 to 5 year sort of goalpost. But be mindful of the fact that you have to keep revisiting how you're tracking every 12 months. So when you revisit it, have a clear set of annual goals, because that's as close in control as you can. So we can't control what happened with Ukraine and Russia. We can't control what happened with COVID. But what are the things that we can control is what is our output going to be, what's your conversion going to be, and so forth, so on. So even if you're an individual that's not running a business and you have a goal of achieving a certain amount of, let's say, properties in a certain amount of time, you have to build a couple of plans for what happens if you don't get there. What's the best you can do, if not the A-level plan that you wanted. So you need to build or be comfortable in building your own buffers in place in personal planning and in financial planning as well. So whether you're running a business about saying, okay, our target this year is to help 500 investors, for example, what could stop us from doing that? Build that threat list and then understand what you can do about the threat list. But don't worry about things that are necessarily outside your control. For example, if tomorrow the military showed up at your door, pointed guns at your heads and said, sit down inside, you're not allowed to work, there's a ban on working now for the next two months. What really happens to your business plan? It's gone out the window, right? And what can you do? Can you really run out there in your pajamas with the tanks outside? Probably not. So you have to be okay to just focus on things that are purely in your control. Things that are not, sure, have a contingency plan for it, but you have to get used to change. So something you can do from
that is amazing.
Yeah,
used to
that's very-
change.
very well put.
That's. I just want to ask you something about that used to change. Often I'm guilty of it. Everyone, and I'll openly say that I get the shit sometimes when like I am putting in 155%. Everything that could be done is done, but it doesn't happen. What are the mindset thing? How have you trained your mind to go? Everyone feels that way. We're all human. What have you done? Because the way you put it, it comes from a place of like disappointments and ignorance and whatever it might be. What have you done in your own life helping you adapt? Because it's easier said than done. Adapt to change. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I know for a fact you do it really well.
Because it's been the difference between ignorance and sadness. So, ignorance is, I did everything right, things should have gone my way, but it's still ignorant because things are still not in your control. Sadness is,
yes,
I did everything right, and everything that I could have controlled, I made sure I did, but the outcome didn't happen the way it should have. And you come to terms with it. But what you'll learn is, you'll learn a lot about yourself in that defeat. So in that defeat, you'll start understanding your psychology about saying...
I love that. Learn about yourself in that defeat. That's cool.
And you'll keep testing yourself. So the important thing is you'll go, okay, I know I've lost this certain battle within the grand scheme of things. How long am I really going to keep dwelling on it? How long does it take me to bounce back? So as you're learning those things about yourself, so you're preparing yourself for the next time that you combat change that doesn't go your way. You'll learn, okay, what could I have done last time around to make the escape process of getting out of that guilt better or more efficient? And dealing with loss when you've done everything in your control to make sure things go right, that's what I would attribute to character building, which you can't buy. You can't even pay for a $50,000 course to build your character. It's 2022, but you can't pay someone to give you a character building situation. You have to go through it deep inside.
That's insight. Marc, this brings me to you, Sean. Thank you for the insights.
Yep.
we all have setbacks, and you're someone who I know is very diligent with, like, you know, doing your stuff, getting it done. Like, we call you the enforcer. Like, Marc just comes in hard. We're gonna empathetic Marc enforces, right? Always
we have a man of many talents here.
Man of many talents. Marc, you and I have been talking a little bit off camera. We've talked about growing our wings back and past experiences and so on and so forth. You're a dad. You've got responsibilities, and you've worked very, very hard through your life in various hats and so on and so forth. What mantra have you used? Because sometimes what Sean is saying is fantastic, but sometimes people, when things don't go right, start to overthink and really dwell on what I could have done better, which is a great thing to do in a short period of time and then get over it and then move forward. But sometimes people dwell for very, very long. I have caught myself doing that sometimes, where it is detrimental to me moving forward, just going, I could have done this, I could have done that. Hindsight, right? It's a great way. But what have you used in your life when you've had setbacks to not just sit and like wallow in sorrow or overthink and think and overthink and think, but actually take action and move forward?
A few years ago, I heard a really good saying. It was Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get hit. And I think that's something I wake up every day thinking about.
I love Mikey.
But
Sean should do an impression.
But it is true, right? We all do have, like you just said it before, you know, we get the shits if we don't really achieve what we set out to achieve for even just one day. It happened to me on the weekend. I had a specific day set in mind, did not go to plan, and it actually imploded and made the day shit. Simple as that. But what Sean said as well, I actually took a lot away from just what you said. It was really, really good. You know, you got to learn to sacrifice and deal with it. And sacrifice, I think, should be a part of people's plans. They need to know what to sacrifice. So, you know, even if we look at, let's say, if we look at war, it's probably not the best topic right now, but if we look at war, you might have a soldier who's been shot 15 times. He's still alive, but you got to carry him back. He's not walking back. So you may as well put him out of his misery now rather than let him live for another 2 more hours.
You got to take some hard calls.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, by sacrificing certain other things to get to a certain position, that might mean, you know, I had aspiration to be here one day in a business sense, but now I'm here as a father or whatever it may be. You've got to look at it in different angles, I think. And the same if we bring it down to just real estate for argument's sake. I bought a house today and I bought it for $1 million, and tomorrow it's now worth 800,000. Well, write it out. If you don't
Why
like
didn't you
it,
come to
sell
us?
But if you don't like it, honestly, sell it, get out and go, that's not for me.
Yep.
That's not for me. The same with stocks, shares, anything, any investment, whatever, anything in life. Give it a try. Understand from a calculated perspective what can happen, what can't happen. Don't expect that anything will go right for you. I've learnt now, especially in the last 5 years, expect the worst, but focus your energy on the good outcome. If that makes sense. So don't dwell and go, no. Everything's good, but I'm not expecting.
Correct.
I'm not expecting anything from anyone.
More action, less expectation.
Or it puts you in that mind frame of just, if you don't expect anything, how can you be let down? Right?
Sean, I've got another question. That expectation thing brought me to you. So, you know, recently I revisited The Alchemist, and I was like raving on about it. And it talks, that book, for those of you who haven't read or heard The Alchemist, it's a very old Portuguese, Spanish writer, something written
Paulo Coelho, Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazilian writer, sorry. 1988, 1989 sort of 1980s, 1990 book. Very quick read.
Best thing is you can now get a free copy after your membership to JR Prosperity. Sign up. What are you waiting for? Get a free copy of The Alchemist along with it.
So in that he talks about, and you and I have a lot of conversation around having your end goal. And that whole book is about how you get smashed along the way. So in as much as I agree with Marc, sometimes expectations can derail your mindset, your happiness, how you feel about a situation. But as human beings who hope and dream and create, how do you follow your goal, your dream, when all of this is happening, where do you get that energy from?
Sure.
Because you got to have some. I get where you're coming from, and I agree with it. I live like that, but I can't quantify how I still have that goal without expectations.
Yeah, right. So it's tricky, right? If everyone really had the firepower necessary to achieve their dreams at all costs, then the world would be a very different place.
Can you explain that? Because firepower to achieve your dreams at all costs. That's a very important sentence, and I don't want to take that light. Can you explain? Because I feel a lot of people in the new world order, and I don't speak for everyone, have a victim mentality. A lot of people, well, why me? Why this? Why that?
Yeah.
I go, why not? But so, what is that firepower? Can you define that for our audience? What do you mean by at all costs? Where does that coming from?
So this is the mystery of life. Where does that come from? It doesn't come from anywhere physical. It can't be quantified. You know, when you're scouting when an NBA team picks your top 5 best players in university, in high school for the NBA college draft, they've got all the statistics, but there's no statistic to measure heart. Tom Brady was picked, nth somewhere in the list, but no one could see his heart. That's all he had. He was the most disappointed, distraught person after the draft. He goes on a long walk with his dad. They hit the park, and he's just crying to him. He's just saying, look, here's what it is. And the rest is history, right? With Tom Brady. Undoubtedly the greatest of all time when it comes to the NFL. So I feel that the world, everyone naturally wants good things. Everyone wants prosperity. But there's a difference between just wanting things.
JR prosperity.
Hey,
Shameless
hey,
plug.
put the intro music in there. That was a good one. We need a song.
True.
So because it can't be quantified, that's why everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wishes to be rich. But there's a difference between having a real burning desire, I feel, to want to do things. So how do you measure it is, okay, let's say you wanted to become an investor finally, and that's been your long-term goal. You want to buy a house for your family. Let's pick something very basic, right? You want to gift your family a house or a family member a house. You go to the bank goes, no. What does logic say? Oh, okay, maybe I can try for another bank because maybe this bank wasn't the one. So you go to the second bank and the bank goes, no. And you go, oh, okay, well, what can I do to get better? And the banker goes, you have to increase your income by $50,000 a year. And now you know, okay, yeah, cool, that's great, awesome. So let's say you pick up a part-time job, you do the extra $50,000, and now you go to bank again, and the bank goes, sorry, no. And then you try a different bank. So you've heard all these no's. And logic would say, this just isn't for me, I'm out of here. And that's what most people do.
Yep.
That is. Wait, wrong one. Nah. That's the one. Because that is, Sean, you've just touched on something really important here. The no. I personally feel in my heart that firepower that Sean's talking about is irrespective of no's, irrespective of your reality. If that is your goal, you would do it at all costs. Oh, I can't have a second job. I can't do that. I can't. If you come up with more can'ts,
no, it's
then you're a
it's actually the
can't sayer.
You're so right. And it's just the will.
You don't need to censor that, mate. We're okay. I said you are a can't.
Actually, wait a second. Is the same as saying the word can't, right?
Can't.
Can't.
You are a can't.
He's
sayer.
a can't man.
He's a can't man.
Ryan's losing it right now.
He's just like, you're gonna get me banned. Producer Ryan's gonna be like,
I think we should just beep that whole section. Just have a big truck going.
Yeah, but you're a person who says a lot of I can't.
I can't.
Yeah, that's the American one. That's nice. But yeah, think about it. So, and you know what's funny? If everyone had willpower, I did a poll on this on LinkedIn a long time ago.
Willpower.
And the poll was, what is the most crucial factor in obtaining financial freedom? Is it the right financial education? Is it the right connections? Or is it burning desire? People said it was the right financial education, but it's not.
No.
It's...
I just wanted to throw up to that.
No, but even if you have the right financial education from our friends, right? Mr. Alien, the guy who looks like an alien. And what's the other guy? The guy who looks like he's just from... Anyway.
Some focus on that guy.
Yeah. So keeping these education is great, but if you don't implement it, if you don't take the extra mile to make it part of your reality, you'll be stuck. And you know what? This is the law of the world. The law of the world is that 5% have that enough willpower. That's why they are where they are. 95%. A lot of people in life used to be a businessman, used to be a salesman, used to be an investor.
Back in my day.
Exactly. So the world's full of the guys who are back in my day, and then there's a very tiny people that are going, tomorrow I'm going to.
You're only allowed to say back in my day if you're going to die tomorrow. Because tomorrow is a new day.
That's right.
And that is...
Or you can say back in your day if you've like built something extremely significant that is still relevant today.
I'll tell you something. Speaking of building something significant, someone said this to me the other day, which very young person, go-getter, 18 years old, right?
Wow.
Says to me, he goes... He gave me an example of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Ambani from India, Ratan Tata, Julia, like politicians, business people.
Shoei Bacta.
Like Trump, everyone, right? Everyone's examples. Yeah. And he had a very simple understanding. Sometimes being simple-minded in these things was working in his favor. So he worked out, he said, a house costs this much. A nice house costs this much. And for him, a nice house was circa 3 to 5 million. He goes, my car collection.
Everyone's got a dream about
he's got a little list. He goes, look, my dream cars, realistically.
By the way, yeah, random question for everyone here. Do you guys all have your car collection list ready?
Yeah, 100%.
You know what's in your garage if you only had 5 cars, right?
Yes.
Is that at the end of today's episode?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, I do. I'll pat down.
I'm going to be focused on that the whole time.
I know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday Night Live. We're going to be talking.
It's the subscription break.
Is it? We're going to take the subscription break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what this 18-year-old said to me.
Was her name Scotch?
No, it wasn't. I wish it was Glenn Fiddick. I'll tell you what. Glen Oris. We're back from a subscription break. If you haven't subscribed, hit the bell icon.
Or get out of here.
Pew, mate.
Go, leave. We don't want you.
Yeah, it's the end of financial year. I'm not going to account for you. So you're out. Coming back to what this 18-year-old said. So he had a car list. He had all of this sort of stuff. He said to me, he said, Kesh, if I have circa $10 million today, and on top of that, like $10 million cash, I would buy the house, I'd buy these cars, I'd make 3 investments. He'd even worked out the yields, right? So he figured out...
At 18.
At 18.
I like that.
Half-baked calculations, but I was very impressed.
You weren't going to go down and be like, wrong. This is how the experts do it.
No. Like, why kill someone's spirit? I like this chain of thought.
Good.
I liked where he was going. He said, but do you know what I thought? I always thought I wanted to do this passive income. You learn on YouTube, these courses, work 2 days a week. He said, then I started to think that these top business people, politicians, even though they have all the successes of the world, why does Bezos show up to the office?
In his helicopter.
Whatever. The helicopter he's paying for.
It's because he wants to grow.
Correct.
It is that big, audacious, hairy goal that people have.
It's an addiction.
It
and
is.
there's only a 1%.
It's one of the best.
No, but that 1%, and what this guy was getting at, which was amazing, what Sean was saying was, he said these people have everything you can't even imagine in your wildest dreams. So the way Bezos must party or go have a family holiday would be beyond, you can't even imagine what that would look like.
I'm sure his 2-day family holiday would be every family's lifetime expenditure.
Yeah,
pretty much, right? He says, yet Bezos shows up to work, Zucks shows up to work, Steve, till his last breath, showed up to work.
He's probably still working on the bed when he was on the bed,
right?
With his iPhone, FaceTime.
So that, Sean, speaking about having that power, that fire in the belly, having that resilience, the only reason you are where you're not, where you are,
Purely that.
Whether you're successful or unsuccessful, is because that is the action you have consciously taken.
Yep.
And with every no, if you've given in and given up and rolled over, the worse your situation is getting. Now, we're going through a new world order. There was the whole NFT, crypto, The share market, now there's news of inflation. Thank you, Channel 7. We didn't know. Lebanese cucumbers apparently selling for $3.50.
Really? Which Lebanese person told you that?
I don't know. Coles apparently.
Okay.
I'm serious. There was a whole thing on ABC about walking through Coles and talking about how cucumber.
And shelves apparently in some places are still empty. I've been
Mate,
seeing some
if
news.
you're
I've not been to a grocery store
If you're
in a while.
struggling to buy groceries and you're sitting and watching the news of how expensive it is, go get another job. Like, seriously.
Which will help the...
Which will help the grocery price. It's not going to change by whinging about it. But speaking of the new world order, things are changing. You and I have seen, all three of us have seen people with very high incomes are now, we used to talk about rent investing for years. Now it is becoming very, very mainstream. I, in fact, had a client today saying, my kid in Melbourne, he wants to live in a suburb where houses are $4 or $5 million, but it's got a really good school. So he's going, I'm going to rent a 2-bedroom apartment there, but I'm going to be buying in a growth suburb because I need investments. And he said to me, he said, with the rate rises, my biggest concern, which is very true, we talked about it in the last episode, is not the repayments, because he goes, at the end of it, the tenants, the RBA is going to pass it to the bank's going to pass it to us, we're going to pass it to the tenants, and automatically, we had a rental correction, in fact, when interest rates dropped, and owners didn't really care, and then COVID happened, and so on, we had further interest rate drops, so it sort of balanced out. Now, if interest rates are going up, the bank passes it on to, the RBA passes it on to the bank passes it on to the owner passes it on to the tenant, and he said to me, he has no, this guy is just, works in IT, bro. Like, he's not some financial economist guru. And he said, I'm living in a 3-bedroom apartment right now, renting it, and my rent's gone up twice in the last year of $50. And he's living in a very, according to me, average pocket. He goes, for the same rent, I could be living in a he's in Sydney at the moment, much nicer area in Melbourne. So he's moving interstate. Get this. He's moving interstate to a very affluent pocket where they've got great schools. His kids are of that age of year 8 to year 12, like just getting into HSC out of middle school. And he goes, but Kesh, what I really need your help with is the only way I can hedge my bets against increasing rents is by buying real estate. And I go, why did he think of this? He goes, because I'm experiencing it. Versus most 99% people would just go, oh, goddamn landlord. Landlord's got to pay bills, right? Especially landlords, not slumlords. Maybe not. They cut corners, draw electricity from somewhere else, but landlords do. So, which is very, very interesting. So in this new world order, Sean, and I was speaking to you about this off camera. Imagine if you are someone who dinks. Let's talk about dinks. Double income, no kids. Say you work in a management consultant in the city, for one of the big four, and say...
Let's say the Mizzo's a doctor.
Let's just say that. And you guys are renting a very swanky terrace in Surrey Hills.
Oh, yeah.
And, you're living life, and you have about, say, $150K saved up.
Yep.
Maybe your borrowing capacity is about $1 million.
Yep.
And, of course, you can't buy anything in Surrey Hills, a terrace especially at that price.
No, not freestanding or strata tiles.
Speaking of hedging your bets, in this new world order, what are you doing?
Pick up an set of investments in growth locations that are freestanding, that are able to hedge against interest rate rises.
Can you explain what that means? What
part?
hedging against interest rate rises means?
So when I say hedging against interest rate rises, I prefer on focusing on yields, rental yields that are higher than a percent of that are more than a percent higher than what your bank rate will be passed on with.
So you're saying if the bank was charging you
3.3%,
you would look for something which was a 4.3%
or higher,
or
yield.
higher.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of buying the investment property, how is capital growth in that property helping you overall in your wealth?
See, capital growth's almost a double-edged sword, right? It's done such a great job for our clients in the last 2 years.
I love it. Capital growth, this is for you. Yay.
But
the Hills doing the extra lifting. Represent.
But what I feel bad about is that people that are going to start basing their expectations on the last 2 years, which is not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. I'm personally the investor that's happy with 5% or 4.5% average capital growth for a 10-year period. I'm okay with that personally. That's my expectation. what have we really achieved and what have clients really achieved is phenomenally higher.
Sean,
So,
you
yeah.
got to do this. Guys, wherever you're consuming this, in the comments, I want you to type in, Sean, explain cash on cash return. Sean has talked about this N number of times. If you put it in the comments, I promise you, I will get Sean to record a video specifically for you and send it to your email. Because what people will go, you know what? Most people who've looked at 20, 30, 40% and go, 5%. They don't understand the compound effect of 5%
Yep.
on $500,000 when you're leveraged.
Absolutely.
Please, Sean, for every person, you got to make a promise. Whoever puts in a comment on whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're consuming this, force Sean. Say, Sean, give me a cash on cash return video in my inbox.
I promise.
Just type in Sean in the comments and we will force Sean to do this. So you're saying you're not changing your lifestyle. You're not going to live in some bum part of the city. You're going to continue living where you're living, enjoy the beautiful cafes, restaurants, the hipsters of Surrey Hills.
Yeah.
While you're
absolutely.
buying property somewhere else.
Absolutely. I'd focus on buying property. Could be in the same city if it is a growth suburb that matches those metrics, or it could be in an interstate location. The worst thing someone could have done in the last couple of years is because they could not have bought something where they thought was affluent enough, they skipped out on the market altogether. Never be caught in that trap. Always make some sort of progress. Like I was having a chat with a family this morning first thing, and their dream suburb is actually Concord. And
Nice.
and a good place. They don't mind buying a $2.2 million house, but if they didn't do anything last year and still kept trying to save for that Concord house, they would have missed out on about at least 200 to 300K of free equity that they can now use towards buying that dream home. They ended up investing in one of the same locations you picked up an investment in as well. So they got the full extent of capital growth
Did they pick
in
it up?
12 months.
Was it? I know where.
They picked up the asset at $475,000.
I know
And
this
it was
location.
about a 400 block as well, and a big home. And by showing them the comparables this morning, they were super happy. And then the fear-based mentality crept in again. So the wife was like, should we just sell everything now and just buy that big home? And that's
No.
Yeah, no. So the good thing is, obviously, being realistic about what you can do, hedging your bets where you can. It's always about taking some sort of advantage. So interest rates where they are right now, I'm telling everyone that, good, I'm glad they go up. You'll save you money on your petrol and your groceries. That'll go towards your mortgage anyway.
It will.
Plus, interest rate rises have a 6 to 8 month flow-on effect of rent rises and rent increases. So if you're a landlord, don't worry, your market rent will rise because that will cover your.
It already
your
has.
costs.
Will you send me a screenshot of an email?
Yep.
Anyway, so I'll tell you this very quickly. So this person went in, did a FISO, one of Sean's clients, on a 420 week expectation, no, $400 a week expectation of when the property, pre-purchasing the property, the FISO was done on $400 a week and 4.5% interest rate. So that's what we did the FISO on. This is before the RBA announcements and stuff. We knew it was coming, right? It wasn't a surprise. No one fell off the chair. So this person sends Sean an email. Sean sends me a screenshot, and we love good stories. This person was quite surprised that their property instead of 400 rented for 580, 550, something like that. So they ended up getting $150 more than what was expected, and the interest rate I think they locked it in at was 3.something%. So this guy is creaming it. So he did a FISO on before price. Guys, speaking of which, all of us at JR do numbers first, property afterwards. You can't buy property and then justify numbers. That's for lack of a better word, that really is.
That's true.
Real estate is not about, is it black paint or white paint? The real estate is about does it stack up or it doesn't, and Excel will tell you. And if you don't have a property cash flow analyzer, let us know. Producer Ryan and his IT crew has come up with some mad calculators. So if you want us to send you one of those, say, Ryan, calculator in the comments.
Ryan, calculator.
Order producer Ryan to send you a calculator. You might want your date of birth, firstborn's child's name, all of this sort of information. He will send it to you. Speaking of which, what you are saying, without rabbiting on too much, is true. What Sean is saying, there's evidence already coming through. I had my property managers bringing me up, in fact, last week, saying, "Hey, I just want to let you know that these couple of properties, they were renting for $480 or $580."
And this was within the last week, right?
Last week.
It's so funny. This week,
we can get
my
you
property
150 more.
managers came to me for 2 properties asking for more rent this week.
But
and they connected with my old man as well, asking him to charge more rent. And it's the same template. They use the same template, which is based on market feasibility studies. We anticipate your asset could achieve a rent of this is what we propose to do, and we'll take some money for it as well. I said, waive me that extra fee.
This is what the media does, and I want you to. This.
It worked. It worked. You guys just got to give it a go. Sometimes just take a stab. What's the worst that's going to happen? No, we need the fees for upkeep. Great, no worries.
Yeah. So, get this right. So this is what the media is doing. So remember when COVID happened, and they were like, landlords in distress, rental crisis, the rents are going down. How are they going to make their mortgage payments? Right? And now they flipped it because rents are going up. Instead of saying, "Hey, landlords, guess what? Interest rates going up. Your rents are doubling.
Yep.
You are going to be making bank." No, they're saying, poor tenants, nowhere to live. What is going to happen? Homelessness. Some people on that channel, and no disrespect, and I know people. Hey, look, I'm first generation immigrant, so I got a story. All right. So if you've lived here all your life and you don't have savings in your 70s, what the are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
They
what were
were
you
doing
doing?
a bit of rock and roll, right?
They were doing a little bit of rock and roll. I'm allowed to say this. I've never been on Centrelink, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Everything on my own
That's
accord.
respect.
I've paid a lot of money to Centrelink, I'll tell you that. But anyway, coming back to this, is just the way media turns it around.
Of course.
When there's a rental crisis and interest rate rises, I find it very hard that people aren't celebrating this and they're scared, because every 0.25% increase means another $20, $50, $80 increase if you've not bought in some bum town somewhere where people don't have their wage increasing. Hence, when you and I talk about this, and you again, guys, this episode, I'm just doing some shameless plugs because I feel it'll give you context. Ryan, in the description of this, if you can you put Sean's high growth asset selection masterclass? Guys, if you are worried about real estate investment and whether you bought the right property or not, I would really recommend watching. It's a free masterclass, but at least if you already own property, whether it's your own home or investments, or you're thinking, at least watch it to make sure that, at least do a litmus test, if you will, to see if you have a high growth asset or not, and what category does it really fit into, because Sean just gives you all the information. You could take that and just go out there and do some stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
And you know, you're speaking about change, right? So because you're doing state of the market, Mark, every week very consistently, what are the changes in trends you've realized
Yes.
over the past 4-6 months?
I think a lot more people holding on to assets I'm talking a larger wholesale type of investor perspective. Build to rent, we've talked about it before. Look, there's a bit of distress, but there's also not a lot of distress. I think everyone's waiting for this magic moment that everyone's going to buckle on their mortgage repayments. Oh, and property's going to be so cheap all of a sudden. I don't know if you were talking about it with me the other day, but there's a ton of people that still live in this country that have no debt on their home. So they're not concerned. They're not concerned about if the interest rate goes up or down by 500% or not.
I have to find that.
Right.
I think the whole country sits at about 30% LVR. If you had to take the national 30 or 40%
Exactly.
LVR. So there's no GFC-like event going to come.
I was talking to Sataj the other day. He did mention something in regards to whether CBA has it or we've got access to it, but it was about finding which suburbs are highly geared and saying let's start targeting them. And I thought, look, sounds great, but the reality is those people will probably be fighting to the death as well to hold on to their assets.
And you know what's funny? During COVID, everyone knew that, okay, I'm getting reduced hours, and they had $20,000 in savings, which could have lasted them 6 months of mortgage repayments. But you know what everyone did?
Yep.
Mr. Bank, pause my loan.
But Sean,
and
think
banks
about this.
did it. So that's
Why did the banks do it? What does this country do? Every time there's any sort of economic crisis, i.e. COVID, what you were saying,
Yep.
what is the government for? Banks only doing what the government asks them to do? And
Exactly.
why does the government constantly come in and protect the real estate market?
Because they know that that is their safety net. That's the best way for them to avoid paying people in the future.
This is it.
And the other thing is banks don't want a worthless property market. If the
Nah.
property market was worthless, no one would be investing. Banks want to earn interest.
If large wholesale firms are looking to hold on to more stock, shouldn't that be a sign for the smaller mum and dad investors?
No,
to see
but
that
that's-
this is
that-
what I should be
Get
doing.
your
as
foot
well?
in the door. Yeah, absolutely.
What I find crazy with most minority mindset people is they're rich, it's okay for them, it's not okay for me. I'm like, maybe do you think they're rich and it's okay for them because the decisions have been great and it's had a compounding effect, and your decisions have been shit, so it has had a compounding effect? And if you followed the same decisions, maybe you would have had a better outcome.
I think
Like
it's
today
more-
we got a free beer by like just buying in.
I want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to quickly say, and I've mentioned it, I think, to everyone in the office. Ray Dalio has recently done a New World Order video.
Yes.
I highly recommend it. And if anyone out there is listening and is going to actually implement what we talk about 40 minutes down into this podcast, watch that video. That is going to give you a very, very good insight as to what's happening at the moment. But regardless, the world will still be okay at the end of the day.
It will. You know what's funny? I feel we're at a very nice end of a 200-year capitalistic bull run.
Yes.
Personally, I feel. We've enjoyed this capitalistic
Yes.
freedom.
Don't end
Yeah.
it. Don't now. We love it. We love it.
Of course we
Capitalism.
do. Of course we do. And you know what's funny? Most logical left and right thinkers love capitalism.
Yes.
I stay away from politics. I don't like getting involved in it. But if you really focus on where this New World Order is coming from under our good old friend Klaus Schwab in the World Economic Forum, and you read some things, it's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah.
But if more and more people make you feel like it's normal, you wake up the day after tomorrow going, maybe it is. And that's what we have to protect in this country. We have to protect that freedom. Oh, sweet freedom. I can always taste it. But it's a very short thread from when it's gone. And we're almost at that tide. That's why I'm going to watch that video you recommend.
Capitalism will never end. And I'll tell you my definition. I'm not talking about some Uncle Scrooge child labor sort of version of this left. Capitalism is, for me, capitalism has been the birth of invention, creation, improvement of customer service. This podcast.
Take a look at every single thing in this room. It is a product
because
of
there was
capitalism.
competition. You get paid what you
These.
deserve.
The pillow, the phone, the watches, the wines. Capitalism.
Me.
You know, no, but like,
well, maybe.
but mate, like I can give you context. Like I grew up in India, and I see this in Australia quite often when elections come up and this and that come up, and you know, a lot of times people are asking, "What is the government doing for me?" Right, and the government's here for me, and you got to do this for me, and what are you doing for me?
I love John F. Kennedy, baby.
What have you done? Like, no, I really want to ask you, economically, how have you added to the economy that you're standing there and saying, I want my, like, and some people get really upset with me saying, oh, only wealthy people should have a say. No, everyone should have a say, but are you consciously doing something? Like Elon Musk, the other day, and this is a little bit controversial, but Elon Musk literally said, I don't think billionaires should be taxed. Some left-wing guy right now just give me 50 thumbs down and gave me like hellfire for that. But Elon had a fair point, which I agree with. He said, you think I'm chasing boats and cars? No. I have shown you in the rules that you have set in this economy, the government has set in this economy, that I know how to allocate capital,
Resources, yeah.
Yes.
whether it's human, money, time, whatever sort of capital it might be, in a better way than the government. The governments always end up in a deficit.
Because-
I end up in a profit.
Because his net worth's positive billions, not negative trillions, right?
But he
So-
has, why Tesla, they're all Tesla shares. Elon Musk has single-handedly revolutionized and forced other companies such as Ford, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Porsche, large-scale companies that have hundreds of years of history compared to what Tesla is. Tesla is 3 seconds old. Compared to these, he's forced them to have electric vehicles today. He's blown up YouTube with drag races of Model S Plaid going against a Lambo.
This goes back to what the podcast is about today, which is pivot, shift,
Change.
right? And that's what he's done. And you're right. 100%.
Change. So
So
guys, do not fight change. Understand change and understand where you fit in that change. And if you are going to not benefit from that change, upskill and pivot. And if you are going to benefit from that change, double the down. Double down.
Amen.
Double down.
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
But again, look, dude, I'm just saying, you are, like, if you're sitting here waiting for the elections, you're sitting here waiting for RBA, you are a pawn on the board.
Yes.
Be the board. Irrespective of what happens, I achieve
Be the king.
king of the hill. You know how it is.
We yet to do our thing. We need maybe new intro video.
I did chest yesterday. It's hurting.
All right.
Speaking of which, we're going to do a wrap. Quick, before we wrap it up, Rapid Robins.
I'm so excited. Let's try and keep it as fast as possible. Okay.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you only had 5 cars in your garage for the rest of your life, non-interchangeable, 5 vehicles for life, what would they be? Let's go.
I've really been thinking about this for the last 20 minutes. I'm not going to lie.
Go.
And I thought about it, and it's as from childhood, teen, etc., etc. The F50 would be in there.
Sorry. Can I just answer for you very quickly?
No, you can't. Wait. This is my turn to talk.
I love this. This is my favorite part of the show.
No, go. I'm just teasing you on purpose.
Me talk.
I'm going to mute him.
You did it on purpose.
I did it on purpose.
Can I just answer for you real quick? Yes. And yours funny, it would be very close.
Oh, sorry. That was
F50.
Yes.
Actually, if the car's good, it's a good cheer. If the car's bad, it's a...
In my more senior years, it is the 911 Turbo S.
Oh.
When I was young, very young, I used to draw a lot of them. It was a WRX STI. What? A 22B. Make sure you put 22B at the end of that. All right?
Hey, there's emotional connection
There is emotional connection.
I don't give a shit. It's shit.
Ford.
You're going to make someone in
GTHO.
our office very happy.
And number 5.
What was the
Ford
Ford?
Ford GTHO.
GTHO.
Classic.
The original Ford GT.
And a 5th. I don't know.
You're Italian.
Yeah. but
What's wrong with you?
It's an Americanized Italian and an Australianized one.
Yeah, exactly.
The Ford's like the American Subaru. You get it?
Come on, you're Italian stallion.
I'm going to represent Australia today.
Okay.
And I'm going to say the last HSV. The W1 GTS.
Oh, the GTS. Okay, I rate that car. I do, because it's skyrocketed in value. It's a smart investment.
All right. Your turn.
Me? Okay. Lamborghini Murcielago SV LP670-4. Ferrari LaFerrari. Has to be the Porsche 918 Spider.
Or Manny Koshman. We're just going Manny Koshman on.
Lamborghini Murcielago LP640 gated manual, the gated shifter.
So you're going to be a little Murcielago collector.
I have to be a little Murcielago. And my last car, I have to do it. I have to bite the bullet. I'll go for the McLaren Sterling Moss.
You know the funny thing is when he has
The only car I can fit in that whole collection is 2 cars: the 918 Spider and the Sterling Moss.
Yes.
Because Sterling Moss, I'm just out on the whole road, and then the cars.
And I brought this before to everyone's notice. If you don't know, Sean is taller than the Big Show. If you don't believe, come to the office and have a virtual coffee with Sean.
I'm taller than Kevin Hart. I don't know about the Big Show.
Okay.
Come on, I'm so excited about this. This is a good collection already. We've got the Porsches, we've got the Australian, we've got Italian. What's next?
488 Pista Spider.
Whoa, Pista Spider. Nice, I like it. Bit of a fanboy car, but it's good.
Yeah, nice.
488 Pista Spider or 458 Speciale, whatever I can get.
Okay, so either or.
Either or.
So is that 1 or is that 1?
That's
No,
1.5.
Either or. No, either or. Doesn't matter which one. It doesn't matter which one. AMG GTR Black Series.
Nice.
Right? I want a Rolls-Royce Ghost.
Okay.
A Rolls-Royce Ghost.
So you got a comfortable daily driver car in there.
Daily
Do you have any
driver.
dailies in your one? Just the HSV.
And
I
the
want
Turbo S.
the brand new Range Rover Autobiography.
Really?
Really?
There's only 5 cars in the whole universe, and you're picking these 2.
Rolls-Royce and Range has to be in there.
Okay.
And the 5th one is...
Fiat.
the 5th one is probably going to be an Aventador S.
Mm.
An Aventador S.
Maybe the new Aventador S, like
new,
that last.
not the S. What is the last edition? What they've
Yeah,
just
it's a
launched?
style of the S.
Yes,
It's like a spin-off
whatever
of
the
the S, yeah.
last edition is.
Last clean Aventador. No giant flares. 760 horses. Does the right thing.
In the hills, we like comfort.
Yeah, so I was going to say it's very big body type of cars.
Yeah.
It's very relaxed, elegant, old money, speed, and I'm just a yobbo.
Because, right, like the Ghost is just.
And in combination, you've got everything you need for a good weekend.
Oh, you
Yeah.
do?
We know which ones we're taking on Friday. We know which ones we're taking on probably Friday night here, Saturday there, Sunday there.
Some of that's here.
Some of that.
Summer night.
Some of that's Canberra. Let's go.
But that's why with the Ferraris, the if you're gonna have 5 cars, you need to do one of them has to be a convertible hard top.
Yeah, we have to have the holy grail. Like with the LaFerrari, I wouldn't mind interchanging it with an Aperta. Like a
Yes. Oh,
if it's a drop top LaFerrari, I ain't complaining.
yep. Yep.
But-
I want to point out the 22B STI, the Rexy. No, bullshit. That's not the right thing. There is 5 of these in the country. In Australia.
What?
They're 2 doors.
For a reason, they burnt the rest.
They are the WRC, the old 2000 WRX.
Yeah,
you know that
yeah.
shape.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
5 of them in the country. They are the GT3. They're the road version of the rally car. And when I was young, I took 2 of the caps off. For your little bike tires when you were young. I've got 2 of them. On a
Mate.
bike that I probably got rid of about 2 years ago.
How about we take this offline?
Wow.
Because all I can hear is, no. Oh no!
I'm outta here.
No! I thought you were gonna just rat out some like Alfa Romeos and like.
And there's no Alfa Romeo that deserves to be in the top 5 of all time.
I thought he was gonna go Porsche Macan, Porsche Cayenne, all the 911s possible.
Well, 911 Turbo S,
GT3 RS,
your
GT2
Turbo S is the 992, I'm
I've
guessing.
got to have flavour like
992?
Aussie Barbie.
The Turbo
gotta
S
wrap
has to
up.
be the 992. Absolutely. Then it's fine. That makes up for everything else.
This is Friday Night Live, ladies and gentlemen.